So when I paused in the last clip, my uncle had gotten out of prison. He was like a second father to me during the 7 or so years he was locked up for purse snatching, and they considered it a crime spree because he committed multiple aggravated robberies in a short amount of time, high on crack cocaine. And when he got out of prison, well, prior to him getting out of prison, we had talked about watching The Green Mile ever since it came out. And when we picked him up from prison, as soon as he got in the car, he said, "Go to the beer store to get me a 12 pack." He drank from East Tennessee to Nashville, which is at least 2, maybe 3 hours. And he drank that whole way back. Needless to say, he was drunk because he hadn't had a beer in so many years. And I remember my grandmother had cooked jambalaya, and it was really spicy for me. My spice level is like 0. Um, and I know eventually ended up at the bar, and my granny called his best friend to try to recruit him home. And he came home finally. I do not recall if he went out and used drugs that night, but he did a lot during the time that he was free from prison. It didn't last long. Um, when he did come home, he asked me if I wanted to watch The Green Mile. Now, this is fixing to get really graphic, so be prepared. He wanted to watch The Green Mile, so I had the DVD or whatever it was, VHS tape, I don't remember, in my room. And so we go up there and start the movie. I don't really remember how much of the movie we watched, but he forced himself on me. And at first, all I could think was, I'm going to tell on him. But then I thought about what would happen if I told on him. He would inevitably go back to prison if they could prove it. And I knew that would destroy my granny. The next day, he remembered it happening, and he told me he was sorry and it would never happen again. And I told him it was okay, just don't ever do it again. Well, it never stopped after that until February, or maybe January 30th. It was before the 4th of February because he had gotten out of jail after going to jail on a simple assault on me, because he did assault me. He got out of jail before the parole violation hit for the new charge. They've updated it now where that doesn't happen, but it happened then. And I almost saw him get shot by the bounty hunters when they come to rearrest him on the parole violation on February 4th. And I know he had been out a couple days. He stole some money from me that my dad gave me because during the few hour altercation we had, I left during it and everything, trying to let everything cool down, and it didn't work. But he threw my clothes out in the yard. My dad scooped all my clothes up and put them in the car. My dad's car was a 1968 Plymouth Volare. It was a hoopty, and it broke down on, I think, a exit ramp or right near an exit ramp of the interstate, and someone stole basically everything I owned out of the car while it was broke down. My dad got his taxes and gave me a few $100s, and I stupidly told my uncle about the money, and he told me that if I gave it to him, he would get us a place to live because the morning after my uncle went back to jail for simple assault, my granny said, "You've sent my baby back to jail. He's going to go to prison. You can't live here anymore." And it totally broke me because my granny was my best friend. But I knew if I had anything to do with sending him back to prison when he sexually assaulted me, that it would destroy her. And for a while, it destroyed our relationship. But during the entire time after he went back on the parole violation, I was in contact with him, and he was making me send money, put money on the phone, and all of that. He made me have a boyfriend. He had a girlfriend to look normal. I think I told his girlfriend after he went back to prison what actually happened. I don't remember. But if I didn't answer the phone, he would send a stranger to my door to beat on my door and tell me to pick up the phone. I was working all the time, so I was only 17, 16 at first, and then I had a birthday. But that same year, 2003, I met what became my husband, Dave. And for a while, my uncle was still calling, and it was like nothing had changed. He still talked to me sexually because the sexual abuse never stopped. The From July of '02 to February of '03, I've had two different now ex-boyfriends tell me that I could have done something to stop it. One even said I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel I could stop it. I didn't feel safe. My life was threatened, and I was reminded how bad it would destroy my granny if the police ever got involved. But Dave caught on to it when he found a letter, and he knew the whole thing. He understood it. And he asked me to marry him and promised that all of that would stop if that's what I wanted. And he put a stop to it. When when my uncle was still out, he made me pick a tattoo that was supposedly love related, and then he got the same tattoo. He put his over his heart on the left side of his chest, obviously. Mine is in the center of my back because I didn't want visible tattoos when I was that age. I was only 16. And my dad didn't consent to the tattoos, but he was the one that put them on me, my uncle. And the day I got married, He supposedly covered his up because he was heartbroken. And when he got out of prison in like '05 or '06, he tried to get me to spend time with him alone. I just wanted a normal relationship. He's my uncle, I'm his niece. But he supposedly was in love with me. I wasn't in love with him. I wasn't in love with my husband at that time either. He was my safe place, though. But that's where I'm going to stop it for now.